Okay, so we are up to part two of our herbs, our Ayurvedic herbs, our introduction into Ayurvedic herbology. Sorry about the screen share if it doesn't look all nice and tighty, because for some reason it's not just letting me share the slide portion. So there you have it. But at least we can see. So we were up to H, Harataki, and I did ask before we hit record if everyone had memorized the herbs, but you don't really have to do that. But has anyone got any takeaways from our last lesson or used any herbs or thought any further about herbs since our last session? Anyone got anything to add? No.
I think I'm just really excited about getting to know them from the Ayurvedic perspective, which reminds me a lot about I studied homeopathy for years ago,
Mhm.
and getting to know all of the remedies. It's like they become their personalities they have, and
Mm,
that's what I think will happen with the herbs. And I think
yes.
because Ayurveda, we get to apply all of the Ayurvedic principles to the herbs, and I think that just deepens the understanding of Ayurveda and what it's all about. And then when you realize it's just a system that applies
Mhm.
everything to everything, then
Yeah,
the rote
absolutely.
learning becomes really easy. So that's what I'm hoping I can just surrender to, that part of my brain that understands Ayurveda.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm very excited about, if that makes sense. I hope that makes
It
sense.
totally makes sense. I know what you're talking about. Like you're talking about the elements and the doshas, how they're actually in
Yeah,
everything, and it's
they're in
just a
everything.
system.
The gooners, the
The
gooners.
gunas.
So
Yeah,
yeah, we've learned the system, and we could make this like, oh my God, it's a whole new thing, but it's not. It's the same
exactly.
system. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. And that's what, after a while, when Ayurveda just becomes that second nature, it's like exactly what you said. It's just a system and it's just applying that system to whatever concept in life you need to apply it to. I remember I was talking to, can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was a client or no, it wasn't a client. It was a Pilates teacher, but she was asking me about someone in the class about constitution stuff, and she goes, "You can make everything make sense." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's just because I apply Ayurveda, and Ayurveda just makes sense to everything because it's the science of life." And I'm like, "Well, I make it make sense anyway," but it's purely because I use the system, and I could see the guy. He was there present. We weren't talking about him. We were talking to him, and I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense because you're very Vada, blah, blah, blah. Like I can just sort of riff it off because you just quickly apply the system, which is wonderful. So I love that you've already picked that up because whatever we do, whether it's nutrition, whether it's herbs, whether it's wound care, even, whether it is like different diagnosis, it's all to do with the system that we learn through the gunas, through the elements, through the doshas. And that can make it very easy for us, whether we're applying aromatherapy, massage techniques. So, yeah, if we can always just come back to the basics. And that's why, no matter how many times I have learnt the basics, I always go back and read different people's takes on it, listen to different podcasts, and I'm learning the very basics. It's like I'm learning them for the first time again and again and again. It's like you can never learn the basics enough. Um, because once you really nail those, you can apply it to literally anything and everything. So, as I mentioned, this is our part two of Ayurvedic herbology, our introduction to Ayurvedic herbology. In our level two, we obviously go deep into sort of practitioner aspects of herbology, but this is really to give you guys an overview of all of the herbs or most of the herbs. I mean, there's so many more, but most of the herbs that are quite common that we can use in Ayurveda and recommend to our clients depending on their constitution or their needs. So we're up to H, so Harataki. And like I said, teaching it, I love herbs. Sometimes teaching it feels a bit like rote learning, like, okay, this herb's this. And it's sort of like not as, I don't know, creative, I guess, to teach. So hopefully it's interesting. I know I loved learning about herbs. But yeah, just bear with me if it's not usually how I teach because it's quite, factual. But Harataki is the next herb on our list, and it's actually known as the king of medicines in Ayurveda. It is part of the, who knows what this herb is in, what really common herbal formula it's in.
In Trifla?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's one of the herbs in Triphala tri. So there's three herbs. So Harataki is known as the king of medicine in Ayurveda, and it cleanses the bowels, it nourishes the tissues, and it sharpens the mind as well. So it's really best for constipation, sluggish digestion, and also can, because of its scraping mechanism of the tissues, can be also helpful for respiratory health as well. Um, it is one of the few herbs that's considered very safe and beneficial for all three doshas when used appropriately. So you can, although we've got here, it's like it pacifies vata and kapha, more so because of that sort of sluggish digestion, constipation. It is actually tridoshic. The next one is Jatamansi, and I know this herb is actually Helena, who couldn't make it today, but it's Helena's favorite herb for Vata constitution. She's always going on about it. It is a very deeply calming herb for the nervous system. It does help to reduce anxiety, and it promotes restful sleep and cools that mental overactivity. So it also means that it can be very good for Pitta because it can cool the mental overactivity that Pitta can also have. So it is used to decrease Vata and Pitta. And it's really good if your clients have a lot of stress, obviously insomnia and even memory loss. It traditionally in Ayurvedic medicine, it was used for grounding spiritual practitioners after intense meditation and ritual work. Because if we think about it, when you're doing really intense sort of spiritual type of work, you're really tapping into the ether element, right? So we're going all up here, so really exacerbating ether element. And so after any of sort of these intense sort of meditations, you can feel like a bit floaty. And if you need to ground and come back to earth a bit, then Jatamansi was used in that traditional sense. But obviously in high dosages, it can cause a lot of drowsiness because it sort of has that, I guess, sedative effect on the nervous system. Okay, the next one is licorice, and licorice in taste is quite sweet and it's very nourishing. So nourishing for the tissues. It soothes inflammation and inflamed mucous membrane. So it's really good for calming the cough. And it's very good for supporting adrenal recovery. So often if a client has adrenal fatigue, licorice is a really beautiful herb that you can mix with some other herbs, some other adaptogens. And I think I said it last time, but sometimes I use licorice because it can actually increase the efficacy of the other herbs when it's put into a combination formula. Really good for gastritis, dry cough, and fatigue, adrenal fatigue, anything like that. And I guess to what I said before about putting it into different herbal formulas, in Ayurveda, it is used as a harmonizer for herbal formulas, making other herbs more bioavailable, and that's what increases the efficacy of different herbs. Okay, the next one is Mangista, which is a premium blood purifier. So it decreases pitta. It helps to move the lymphatic system, the lymph as well. It can clear skin conditions, supports detoxification, and it can ease menstrual congestion. So if there's a lot of like clots or congested menstrual cycles. But really, it's really used for a lot of skin conditions. So as it's got on the chart there, acne, eczema, hyperpigmentation, basically, and other skin conditions as well. It's known for its, when you see the herb or it's known for its really rich red roots. And this, I guess, like when you're looking at it from that energetic perspective, it really symbolizes the action on blood and circulation. Next one is neem. Yeah, my eyes, I'm like, neem. Neem is a really bitter herb. So it can decrease pitta and kapha, but it's also because it's also very cooling. It clears heat and toxins from the blood and skin. I personally love neem and use it a lot with clients who have eczema, I use it topical with these clients, eczema, dermatitis, acne, different skin issues. You can take it definitely internally as well, but it's also used as a really good external herb. So you can use like a base oil or like cream to mix neem with, and it is wonderful for different skin conditions. I absolutely love it for that. It is called in like traditionally the village pharmacy in India because it does have a really wide range of uses. So although I've been saying that it's really good for skincare, it can be used for so many other things like boosting immunity. Like there's just a whole range of things. It's like Tulsi, you know, they have a Tulsi plant. Neem is also very useful as well. And you can have it in teas, which is really good. So if you are sort of battling some of those sort of inflammatory skin conditions, sipping on neem tea as well. The next herb is passion flower. Passion flower calms the nervous system, it reduces anxiety, and it really supports healthy sleep. So, a really good sleep formula that I like to use is passion flower, ashwagandha, and chamomile together. And you can use that as a sort of trifecta herbal formula and give that to any of your clients that are sort of suffering with a bit of like nervous tension or anxiety, mild anxiety before sleep and any sort of insomnia issues. The next one is peony. This herb is cooling and nourishing for the blood and reproductive system. So this is one of the sort of main herbs that I use in formulas for PCOS. Also can be used in menstrual pain and acne. And in Chinese medicine as well, so TCM, it is seen as a yin nourishing herb for restoring balance after depletion. So it's got, yeah, again, a wide range of properties and uses, but I mostly would use peony in things like women's health issues, PCOS, menstrual pain, stuff like that. What does it say on here? Yep, inflammation. Yeah, and it does say avoid during pregnancy and can be used for skin health. So rhodiola is an adaptogenic herb, another one that I really like to use in conjunction with other herbs. It enhances mental and physical endurance whilst helping reduce fatigue. So it doesn't like zonk you out like some of those herbs that sort of sedate the nervous system. It can really support the body if you have low energy, low concentration, but it's not going to make you feel really drowsy. And so it's really well used for people who are undergoing like a lot of sort of stress, who have got that adrenal fatigue sort of symptoms, poor concentration, low energy. And it is known, it was used by monks. It's used by monks to improve their stamina at high altitudes as well. So I'm not sure, like for me, that would be to do with the endurance properties of it. So yeah, that is one of like the special, what do you call it? Like special, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Special properties of this herb. It's been known as a golden root used by the monks. Okay, rose. I'll put your slides over. Okay,
Are you able to make the slides a bit bigger?
bit bigger. Let me, is that working?
That's better. Yeah, that's perfect. That's just easier to see.
Oh, good. No worries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so rose it's cooling, so it's very good for pitta, even using it in things like rose water, rose tea, rose the herb. There's lots of different ways that you can use it. It's really soothing and uplifting for the heart and the skin, and the heart energetics as well as the physical heart and the skin. You know, like you can make rose water spritzes for like sort of calming and cooling the skin after like a lot of sun and stuff like that. So it's really beautiful for reducing that pitta. It can calm inflammation, can help to balance hormones and emotions. The way that it helps balance hormones is quite gentle, but it supports reproductive health. But usually I would be using it more for skin irritations, emotional imbalances, because like I said, helps to work with the energetics of the heart space. And you can use it for menstrual discomfort as well. It is in like the special properties of rose, I guess, in Ayurveda. We know that it can be used, like I said, for pitta. It's quite common for pitta conditions, but specifically pitta conditions of the emotional heart space. It's considered a heart tonic, so both physical, but you know, like for more pitta who have sort of, I guess, the emotional, so emotionally closed off in the heart space. It's really good for opening the heart space. I guess if we think of like the heart chakra, you know, being able to open the heart chakra. And so it is, yeah, a really beautiful herb that you can use to support that. So if one of your clients, you know, if they feel quite congested in the heart space, like emotionally, you know, maybe adding a ritual of having some rose tea could be really beautiful for them, or spritzing their body with some rose.
So could you look at like, you know, pitta can be that the heart can be driven by, you know, the fire, and it can get sharp, and it can get competitive, and it can get
Yeah,
all of those qualities, and then the gunas of those qualities. So then rose has the softening of all of that. So it's
exactly.
not that we're trying to get rid of those qualities because they're good qualities, but it's going to soften the edges and allow things to expand a little, because sharpness can contract us in, and all of those things can kind of contract us in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, love that. Love that explanation. Thank you. The next herb is shatavari. We've all heard of shatavari because I talk about it quite a bit. It's another one that I use quite a lot in my practice. It's a female reproductive tonic. It's really nourishing for the reproductive tissues and helps to enhance fertility, hormonal balance. So even women who are in menopausal stage, it is really good for those women as well. It really helps support vitality, and I use it for all different things like PMS, menopause symptoms, infertility, postpartum recovery. It is something that you can use like in a herbal sort of formulation. Again, you could use it like in an Ojas juice or drink. You know, we make the Ojas drinks for our postpartum women, like with the dates and the nut milk and a bit of cinnamon. You can add some shatavari in it as well. So there's lots of ways that you can use this herb. And what if you're wondering, oh, the other thing that you can use shatavari for actually is different inflammatory conditions. So it is good at reducing inflammation in pitta as well. So if the PMS symptoms are quite inflammatory in nature, it's very good for that, but can be used for all different sort of any itis, any inflammation sort of thing. But if you're ever having trouble thinking, or like, what is a property of shatavari? Well, the name, the in Sanskrit, so the shatavari, the Sanskrit term, translates to she who possesses 100 husbands. So it really shows the power to restore feminine vitality. If you've got 100 husbands, man, you need to be very vital and strong woman. So that's what the name actually means. Like ashwagandha is supposed to be sort of like the male tonic equivalent to shatavari being the female tonic, and ashwagandha is like the name means like the smell of horse, like horses, meaning like the strength of horses, you know. So it's little fun facts that help me remember what these are all for. Now, Shilajit, I
Can
love
I ask a question
Shilajit.
about Shatavari? Just you've mentioned avoiding in estrogen sensitive conditions. What does that mean?
Oh, yes. Thank you for pointing that out. So, and I've put a C on the front. So, avoidant estrogen sensitive conditions. This is just to be mindful of. You don't have to all of the time, but if a woman had estrogen sensitive, say, cancer, for example, I would be very mindful of like offering shatavari as a herbal support for them because it can influence estrogen. So that's why it can be really helpful in sort of perimenopausal, menopausal women because it can help exacerbate estrogen levels. But if they've got an estrogen sensitive cancer or something like that, you don't obviously want to promote estrogen in that woman.
So would you potentially ask if they had any blood tests so that, you know, to ascertain whether this is something that's suitable for them?
Yeah, definitely if they come in with any sort of breast cancers or any cancers,
Or
100%.
just generally with, like, let's say perimenopause and, you know, they're having some issues with PMS or clotting and things like that.
Yeah, it is also adaptogen, so it's more for because you can have estrogen dominance, but it doesn't mean your estrogen levels are out of balance. Dominance means just it's higher in ratio to your progesterone. So it can be very normal for a perimenopausal woman to have estrogen dominance, but the estrogen's in with normal range.
Oh,
It's just the ratio between
yeah.
estrogen and progesterone is lengthened, so therefore it's dominant over the amount of progesterone she has. So in those cases, it's not always a bad thing because it is also an adaptogenic herb, shatavari. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more mindful of like, yeah, highly estrogen sensitive conditions.
Yeah, that's more like a chronic situation rather than it changing month to month.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shilajit, this is a really mineral rich resin. So it comes like a bit slimy. It's from the Himalayas and it is a very potent rejuvenator for the body. It helps to increase energy, stamina, and nutrient absorption. I know, like a few years back, my brother messaged me and he's like, "Hey, do you know anything about Shilajit?" Because apparently, all like the gym junkies were getting into taking Shilajit. He's like, "Apparently, it's an Ayurvedic herb, but it helps to build your strength." I'm like, yeah, it does do that. But it also helps to boost testosterone. And so I have recently just prescribed this to my husband because he's doing a lot of marathon training, like a lot of running. And he also works a high demand job and his testosterone levels dropped a bit. Got some bloods because he was feeling really tired and checked his iron levels and testosterone. And so we've just put him, the only treatment he's having is Shilajit and some, getting to sleep properly. But he's said to me this morning that he is feeling a big difference from being on the Shilajit. And I was like, that's so good to know because I'm teaching on herbs today. So I can report that back to my students. So yeah, it is a really good herb. I've also prescribed it to some clients with cancer because it is very rejuvenating and good for stamina and nutritious as well. So it is used generally for fatigue, arthritis, diabetes, anti-aging, like a whole range of things. But in like Ayurveda, it's known as the destroyer of weakness. Yeah, and so when we look at sort of say arthritis, if we think about the stages of disease in Ayurveda, the 6 stages, arthritis is usually when the vata has moved into a weakened tissue, right? Say in the bones. And so the Shilajit is known as the destroyer of weakness in Ayurveda because it can go and it can help build strength in all of these places where there's perceived weakness in the body. And it also helps with cellular health as well. It's avoiding kidney stones or excess heat. Oh, there, it's got libido as well on my slides as well. Yes, so it can be heating in general, but I still have seen it work very, very well for my Pitta clients and any of those clients as well. So I have used it amongst Pitta, Kapha, and Vata clients. The next herb is Trikatu. So this herb has trika, so it has 3 pungent herbs in it. It blends, it boosts metabolism, helps to boost metabolism. It's good for digestion and nutrient absorption, while also clearing ama, so clearing the toxins. So Trikatu is I think it can be quite heating though. So it pacifies Vata and Kapha, but as a digestive supplement or herb, it's not always the best for Pitta because it can be quite strong and quite hot. But it's often used for poor digestion, sluggish metabolism, can also be used for colds because of its armor clearing effect. And what else was I going to say about that one? Yeah, digestive stimulant. Yeah, that's why it's also not used for Pitta as much. Oh, you can see on the chart there, it's got the 3 peppers that is in that formula. And then we have Triphala. So I would use Triphala more so for the Pittas than the Trikatu. And this is also a herbal blend, and it's got the 3 different herbs in there, or fruits in there. So we've got the Amalaki, the Harataki, which we spoke about at the start, and the Bibataki. And this is a detoxifier and a rejuvenator. It balances all 3 doshas, so it's quite a safe one to use. And just a side note that it can cause diarrhea in some people if overdosed. So if they're using a lot of it, it is, like I said, a rejuvenator, but also helps to boost immunity and detoxify the colon. So a lot of the times it will be used in sort of like detoxification programs as well. It is considered quite safe to use long term. It is a gentle laxative though. So yeah, just to be mindful of that. Okay, how are we going with learning all these herbs? It's a lot to take in, isn't it? Now, some of these herbs will be a little bit repeated, so we won't go over all of them. But what I wanted to put in is some Western herbs that are used in conjunction with Ayurvedic herbs, especially because most of us live in the West. And some of these are very good to use in conjunction with our other Ayurvedic herbs and are very easily accessible, whereas some of the Ayurvedic herbs I know aren't as easily accessible for us, depending on what country you're in. So black cohosh, which you may have heard of, is a very common herb used in menopausal symptoms, helps with hot flushes and a lot of menstrual stuff. Again, this is another one, Sylvia, that we be mindful of if they are on estrogen therapies or if they have like estrogen dominant sort of diagnosis. So it supports hormonal balance, and like I said, mostly I use it for more the peri and menopausal phases because it helps a lot with those hot flushes and menstrual cramps. So it's not native to India or Ayurveda, but it is seen as more of a pitta reducing and also vata pacifying herb. Calendula is another really good one for skin healing. It's got anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and it's also got lymphatic moving properties. Again, you can use this one externally as well as internally. So you can use it as a mix, make a little cream for sort of wound healing and stuff like that. And it's got quite cooling properties, so it's good for reducing pitta. Then we've got chamomile, which I mentioned earlier. I mixed with ashwagandha and what did I say? Oh my gosh, it's just slipped my mind. The flower, the flower, chamomile, passion flower. I'm like, I know it's a flower. Mixed with ashwagandha, passion flower, and chamomile to help with anxiety and sleep. It can be quite sedative, so just being mindful of that. So it's not always obviously very good for our kaphas because it can be a bit too sedating for them. Then we have cranberry, which is really good for UTI, so urinary tract infection prevention. It's high in antioxidants and it's really good for just general sort of bladder health. So if people have got reoccurring UTIs, sometimes you can ask them to drink a cranberry juice a day and it can be really supportive. Dandelion is used to detox the liver. It's also a diuretic. So if they've got a lot of fluid on board, like fluid retention, you can take the dandelion to help reduce some of that fluid. It helps with sluggish digestion as well. And it can also be used for pitta. So anyone with high pitta, specifically in the liver and gallbladder, it also gently stimulates Agni. So it's more like of a digestive detoxification sort of herb. Dong Quai is traditionally a Chinese medicine herb, but it's very good for supporting hormonal balance. And again, this one is used in menopause, irregular cycles, even anemia, because it can help support the blood. In Ayurvedic thinking, it acts sort of more as like a vata balancing rasayana. So rasayana, remember, means rejuvenation, so a rejuvenator for the female reproductive system. So it's used mostly just for female hormonal symptoms. Fenugreek, this supports blood sugar balance, so really good for anyone with blood sugar irregularity, diabetes, anything like that. Also, if you've got women who are breastfeeding, so it helps to stimulate lactation. So if they're having problems with breastfeeding, having some fenugreek can be really, really supportive in that. It also improves digestion. So generally we would use this for, like I said, diabetes, sugar imbalances, low milk supply for our breastfeeding mums, and even some poor digestion as well. It is warming in nature and helps to pacify vata, especially in that postpartum recovery. Next is ginger. So this is a digestive and anti-inflammatory supplement, spice, I should say. It is Ayurvedic, but I've got it here as well because it's used so widely around the world. And it also, we know, helps to kindle our Agni, our digestive fire. So we can use ginger in our meals. We can have ginger on top of our meals. We can have those little ginger pizzas, which is just a slice of ginger, squeeze some lemon juice before our meals to help stimulate our digestive enzymes. It's really good for that. It also helps to clear toxins and improve circulation. So it is known as a universal medicine because it's one of the most widely used spices in, all around, not just in Ayurvedic medicine. Okay, Hathorn is more of a cardiovascular tonic. So this one is supports healthy circulations and helps to also lower blood pressure. So if you have got people with cardiovascular disease, this is one, but this is not one that I would be recommending at coaching level. So with the cardiovascular stuff, I would also always be referring them back to their medical practitioner. Lavender is a very good one for calming. I'm sure we all guessed that. It can also be very mood lifting and it can soothe the nervous system. So it's used in anxiety, insomnia, and in tension headaches. So you can even like use it here on the temples and on the neck for tension headaches. It has a sweet taste, so it's very good to decrease the vata, but also because of its soothing and anti-inflammatory properties, very good for decreasing pitta as well. Licorice we've already spoken about in before. Milk thistle. This is another liver detoxifier and antioxidant. This one is best for anyone who's got like liver damage. Hang on, just letting liver damage, hepatitis, gallbladder disorders. If they're on a detox program, can be quite good. It is pitta reducing and liver strengthening. Then we have oat straw, which is a nervine tonic, and meaning it nourishes the nervous system and supports our stress resilience. Used for stress, fatigue, and low mood. And there's that passion flower again, because it also is used widely in the West, and it's again calming, it's sedative, and does ease anxiety and insomnia. See my vata because I'm just like constantly talking. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We're getting through all of the herbs. How are we going? We're good? Yeah. Okay, peppermint. It's a digestive aid. It's very cooling. That's why we say it's good for reducing pitta. So used in IBS, nausea, headaches, again, can be really good for temporal headaches, like rubbing some peppermint here, making sure you're not going to burn your eyes out though with it. Very good for like as a decongestant. So you can, I love sniffing peppermint if I've got like a sinus headache or anything like that. And yeah, really good to mix in if you've got like cold or flu or anything like that. And it also can help stimulate sluggish kapha as well, which often we don't talk about, but it can definitely do that. Rosemary stimulates circulation. It helps to enhance memory and boosts mental clarity. Really good for anyone with poor circulation, brain fog, and low moods. From an Ayurvedic sense, it is warming in nature, and so it decreases vata, but in excess, it can increase pitta, and that's why we see there's a warning that you want to avoid it in like hyperacidity or any sort of reflux. Sage is the next one, and that is an antimicrobial and a memory enhancer. It is good for also sore throats. Again, it can be used for menopausal sweats, more of the sort of kapha type, and memory decline. And so it is also good for respiratory stuff. Yeah, good for, did it say that there? No. But it can be used for any sort of respiratory conditions as well, reducing like that kapha, that's sticky sort of respiratory stuff. Skull cup is used as a nervous system relaxant. Again, it decreases vata, very good for insomnia, nervous exhaustion, anxiety, and yeah, any excessive mental activity. Slippery elm, it soothes and heals the digestive tract and respiratory mucosa. It's really good for people with IBS, gastritis, sore throat, and yes, that's a slippery elm. St. John's wort is used as an antidepressant. It's also anti-inflammatory. So there's been a lot of clinical papers on St. John's wort as well as saffron. They're both really highly valued as antidepressants, and there's been a lot of research about that. So they're used for obviously people with depression, nerve pain, and mild anxiety. We've got thyme, which is an antimicrobial. It's also digestive enhancing, used for coughs, bronchitis, sluggish digestion. It is kapha reducing and can clear like that excess mucus as well. And then we've got valerian or valerian root, and this is a sedative. So it helps obviously with insomnia and muscle tension, but it helps with insomnia in the fact that it helps you get to sleep. So we still need to know the root cause. Like this is the valerian just helps people. It's like a sedative. Yes. Oh, look, we're nearly there. And then we've just got the kitchen pharmacy after this one. So Vitex, this is a really good one for women who have low progesterone, who are not ovulating. So I use this a lot for women who have irregular menstrual cycles and they have maybe some anovulatory cycles. So it's helps support the endocrine system. So pitta, so it reduces pitta, also kapha. And can be really helpful in easing PMS symptoms. So that it is one of like the main herbs to help with the PMS symptoms as well. And then we have yarrow, which is an antimicrobial, circulatory enhancing herb, and can also help with that kapha congestion and can clear stagnant blood, so blood stagnation. So it can also help with circulation and pitta. Also wound healing because of that stagnant blood, so circulation. We've got to think of the circulating blood to nourish the wounds, to heal the wounds. Okay, so that's a bit of a mix of how Western and Ayurvedic herbs can come together. Now we're just going to brief over one area that we can use herbs and spices in, and this is very, very appropriate for our clients. And if we're starting off or we're not confident in sort of recommending herbs or herbal formulas, we can always start here, and that's our kitchen pharmacy. So these are herbs and spices that are often found in our kitchen and can be really potent and really effective to help support different conditions. So I think in part one, we started with Ajwain seeds, but we're just revisiting them here because it can be a really pungent digestive spice that can stimulate the Agni, the digestive fire, can help to relieve gas and ease cramps. So if you've got clients who are really suffering with bloating or indigestion or any sort of like colic sort of symptoms, you can just say, hey, like grab some Ajwain seeds, pop them in your meals. You know, it's very easy to be able to use these types of herbs and spices. So black pepper, I mean, we've all got black pepper. It's good metabolism booster and decongestant, so very good for reducing kapha. Good to use in if you've got colds as well. And also, it is in Ayurveda used a lot of the time to enhance the bioavailability of other herbs, specifically turmeric. So you might have seen like turmeric with black pepper in a lot of different herbal remedies, and that's because the black pepper helps the efficacy of the turmeric.
Does Pipali have similar action to black pepper in terms of bioavailability? I find black pepper quite hard sometimes.
Yeah.
It's quite hot. So I'm trying to use Pipali, but I'm not sure if it would have the same kind of action.
That's a good question. I don't, from my understanding, it has all the property, like it's used a lot for like the kapha, congestions, all of those type of things as well. But for promoting the bioavailability, I would actually need to check on that for you. That's a good question. I'm feeling like no is the answer, not as much, but it probably does have a component of it that would. But I'm going to have to look that one up because Pipali,
What was the question? Which one?
if Pipali, you could use it instead of black pepper to enhance the bioavailability of other herbs such as turmeric. I think, yeah, with the potency, I'm gonna, I've usually always like used the black pepper. So, But I mean, Pipali is amazing in its own right. I'm
Mm.
just not sure about the bioavailability, if it's as strong enhancing. So that's a good one, and I'm going to come back to you on that in the Facebook group when I know the answer. Cardamom is the next one. Again, we know cardamom as a digestive, it's cooling, carminative. So again, just meaning good for our digestion. In Ayurveda, it's known of queen of spices, and it has a balance between sweet. It balances sweet and heavy foods. So it can actually make desserts easier to digest. So if you notice in like a lot of like Indian cooking, in their desserts, there'll be like cardamom in there because it supposedly helps it to be easier to digest. Very good for nausea as well, to treat nausea. Clove is our next one. It has antiseptic properties and pain relief properties. I know when I was younger, we used to get like those full clove buds. If we had a toothache, we would just like press the clove on the toothache to numb it, and it like help numb it completely. So yeah, really good for toothaches, joint pain, colds. Yeah. And then we have coriander, which we all know, is good for pitta, reducing pitta. It is one that we always sort of suggest. I love coriander. Some people don't love coriander, but I personally love it. In America, they don't call it coriander, they call it cilantro. So just being mindful of that. It is a cooling spice that aids digestion, helps with bloating, and that's why we have coriander in the CCFT, but we have like the seeds. So we can use either the fresh leaves, which I think in America they call the fresh herb cilantro, and then the seeds they call coriander. But they're very detoxifying. Cumin is a warm digestive spice. It helps improve nutrient assimilation, so it can help actually move nutrients into our cells, which is really cool. It helps to relieve bloating and supports detoxification as well. Again, cumin tea is a classic Ayurvedic post-meal drink to help support Agni. Fenugreek. We've already discussed fenugreek. What does everyone remember about fenugreek? One thing. Let's make this a little bit more interactive. One thing. Yell it out. It's even on the screen.
Blood sugar regulator, and also helps with weight management. I've recently prescribed someone for my
Yeah.
weight management.
Yeah, perfect.
Mm.
Awesome. Okay, garlic, antimicrobial, good for cardiovascular tonic as well. It can irritate pitta in really high doses. So just being mindful of that. It's very good to pacify kapha. It's good for people with high cholesterol, any colds, infections. I mean, we've all grown up being told to eat garlic when we're getting sick. So I think we know what garlic does. We've got mustard seeds. They're soothing and anti-inflammatory. They're very good to reduce the vata and the kapha. Again, good for colds. Oh, did I miss ginger? But we did ginger before, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah, also can help. The mustard can help stimulate blood flow, and that's why also sometimes we use it in external oils as well. So when we're doing like different body therapy treatments. Nutmeg is good for insomnia, and I remember my teacher telling us that it can be quite of a sedative. So like if you'd have to take a lot, but if you took a lot of nutmeg before bed, like your chai latte with like a whole bucket of nutmeg, it's really a sedative herb. So it can help with insomnia because it helps them get to sleep. Also can help with diarrhea and anxiety. But the way that I would often prescribe nutmeg is just having a pinch of nutmeg in warm milk before bed if they're having trouble sleeping. And again, if you've got your postpartum women, or if you're trying to build OJAS, you can have like the OJAS tonic with some dates and milk and a little bit of honey and a little bit of nutmeg before bed. And that can be like a really nice ritual for someone as well. And we've got onion, which is warming. It's also an aphrodisiac. It can pacify kapha because it can be quite stimulating. You want to avoid raw pitta in different conditions. My teacher, so I learned from KP's, like a very well-known Ayurvedic practitioner, Ayurvedic doctor, and also a Western naturopath. And he told me that eating a raw onion is really good for traveler's diarrhea. So I'm going to pass it on to you guys. Never done it myself. But apparently eating a raw onion is very good for traveler's diarrhea. It's weird the things that you remember from your trainings, hey? I've never done it myself though. Again, saffron, which I absolutely am loving at the moment. I reckon saffron's like my spice of choice at the minute. It's really good for blood purifying, but also mood enhancing. So very good for anyone with sort of depressive thoughts as well. Great for skin health, menstrual issues. Yeah, I'm really into saffron at the moment. And the last ones, we've got star aniseed, which often will come in your chai teas. This one is a carminative. It's a digestive aid that we can use it helps to, reduce the kapha, and also can calm vata in the digestive tract. Turmeric, we've already spoken about. It's an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. We know that we can mix it with black pepper to help support its efficacy. Then we've got tulsi, which I believe we spoke about in the last one, holy basil. So it's really immune boosting and it clears congestion. It's very good at reducing stress as well, and helps with respiratory stuff going on. So colds, flus, all of that, because it helps boost immunity as well as like stress in the mind and the body. And it's also an adaptogen. I like it for when you are feeling like run down and getting sick. It is in Ayurvedic like philosophy also considered very sacred herb. It enhances spiritual clarity and sattva. So that's why it's also used for like helping people enhance a sattvic mind. And then we have the black sesame seeds. They're very grounding. They're a nourishing seed that supports bone health, hair, and skin. So really good for dry skin, joint pain, and hair loss. And we know that the black sesame oil is used for abhyanga a lot in Ayurveda to strengthen bones and to calm our vata nervous system. And the last one is thyme, which we've already spoken about before. Good for coughs, bronchitis, circulation, all of those things. So that, my friends, brings us to the end of our herb list. And so next time, I knew it was going to take 2 to 3 sessions, we will take the list that we've learnt about and we will bring it to life through different disorders or symptoms that we come across in our practice or day-to-day life, and how we can actually use these. So we're going to go through all of the common digestive disorders and women's health disorders, all of that, so that we can actually apply this herb knowledge to our clients.
Harmony, can I just ask, what is it, OJAS tonic?
OJAS tonic, yeah. So OJAS. So OJAS is meaning like our vitality. And so if someone is depleted in OJAS, they're sort of depleted in their inner strength and vitality. And that can be anyone and everyone. So people with adrenal fatigue or whatnot, but especially postpartum, when we're speaking about it in this session, is because having a baby can obviously deplete a lot of that OJAS. And so to build OJAS, we have like a natural OJAS tonic, which is a blend of dates, nut milk, or in India, they would use like proper milk straight fresh from the cow because it's building. These are all building and rejuvenating. You can use a little bit of honey as well. And then if it's to enhance and promote sleep, you might add a bit of the nutmeg. If you want to enhance female reproductive system or hormones, you might add a bit of shatavari. Some people might add a bit of ashwagandha. So you can add like little herbs in there as well. But what you do is you warm it up and you blend it all together. So you blend the dates with the milk, the nut milk, and the
What if you have a client who has a nut milk allergy? Can you just swap a normal,
oh
like
yeah,
oat milk or something like that?
yeah, normal milk, yeah, whatever they can have. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the OJAS tonic that I use, and then you can customize it to your client's needs as well by using some of these herbs that we've spoken about, or
Yeah.
spices like cinnamon as well. Cinnamon's a beautiful herb and spice. Yeah.
So it's also good if you're breastfeeding.
Yes, and I d yes, as it is, as well as fenugreek is good for breastfeeding because that helps to support lactation.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well as massaging up here. Is a point to help
Yeah.
stimulate lactation there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and just right under the breast as well. Yeah.
And Harmony, what was that? I remember when I did the cleanse with you to build my OJAS back up, you prescribed me this like Ayurvedic jam, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
make it warm it up in milk. What is
Yeah.
that in there?
Chyawanprash.
Chyawanprash.
Chyawanprash. Yeah. Was that in? I think that was we had that in lesson 1. I think the Chyawanprash was in.
Okay.
Yeah. So the
Chyawanprash.
Chyawanprash has got a whole lot of different herbs in it, and it is really good for building immunity, and it's a rejuvenating tonic as well. So rejuvenating tissues, cells, all of that. I think, because I remember saying it was pretty much very hard to get and sold out over COVID. Like people were chamming down the
That's
Chyawanprash.
that one. Yeah.
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 You put ghee in that too, Harmony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I love about herbal medicine is you can really customize it to your clients, and you can get quite, not, I don't want to say like creative, like, oh, let's just like magic potion everything together and see what happens. Like you've got to use your knowledge, your wisdom, understanding the gunas and what the herbs and that support. But you can come up with some really good formulations that are going to be so supportive for that client if they're also following the right diet for their constitution, the right lifestyle dinacharya, and then the herbs just sort of like take it to that sort of next level. But like I said at the I think in lesson 1, it's like you can't out supplement a bad diet or lifestyle. Like you can't just go and take Tulsi because you've heard that it's going to help with a sattvic mind if you're going to just constantly be in the rat race and eating takeaway and crap all the time and go, oh, just pop a Tulsi. Like there has to be some clarity brought in through the senses as well, because Ayurvedic is very holistic. It would never say just take a supplement or a herb, because we know that the mind, body, soul are intricately connected, and they need all aspects of self to sort of harmonize, to work at their both at their best. And so even like we talked about black pepper increasing the efficacy of turmeric, well, what really increases the efficacy of all herbs is going to be diet, lifestyle, and the practices that you put behind the intention of taking that supplement as well. But in saying that, herbal medicine is extremely powerful, and it is the traditional medicine of all medicine, like even to what we have today in pharmacy is derived from herbology. So it is very powerful. So always be really mindful that you are understanding the herb, you're understanding the client, the condition, if they have any allergies, if they're on any other medications or supplements or herbs that it can interact with. And so you have to be very diligent about looking all of that up if you don't know that, like just know it from, understanding it.
Yeah, I had a question as well, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Milk thistle. Do you know, because I had a bit of a research done on that for a client who's trying to repair their tissues and tendons and injuries.
Mm-hmm.
and I looked it up that it can act like an estrogen, or at least increase its potency like in our bodies, which means then it potentially can decrease the production of collagen synthesis. So it's like, or what I'm trying to understand is what you're saying, do your research, but when I looked at milk thistle, it can support the estrogen effects of the body, but then it also can deplete our ability to produce collagen. So there's a lot of information, or there is information that is kind of feeling contradictory when you try to research something that for a specific condition. So how would you go about that?
I think that's when you need to know where your sources of research come from as well. So like looking up more clinical papers, because anyone can write anything on the web at the moment. When it comes to what it says like about, and also sort of understanding on how the functions, how it's truly working, like that herb, which is what we will be going into level 2. Like this is just an introductory to sort of start to learn about the herb basics. But when we look at what milk thistle does for the liver, right? So it helps to detoxify the liver. So that's like its main property. What happens if we've got estrogen dominance or high estrogen? If the liver is sluggish, it is not detoxifying the estrogen from the body. So that's one of the things with hormonal balance in the liver, is why they work so hand in hand together, is the liver helps to detoxify certain estrogens from the body. So if you are then using the milk thistle to support the detoxification pathways of the liver, it can actually metabolize estrogen, can help more metabolize the estrogen. So when it comes to, also when we look at estrogen, there's not just one type of estrogen. So there's different types of estrogens. So I guess it's understanding, like, is it because of the metabolic effects from the liver to do with the estrogen, or does it have like a synergistic effect of estrogen? Like, is it binding to some of the estrogenic receptors, or is it like a xenoestrogen? Is it increasing, for instance, what's the other one? Like Shatavari, for instance, isn't working on sort of the digestibility of estrogen. It can sort of mimic the estrogen receptor. So it's like, when we talk about soy milk, for instance, there's so much controversial information between soy can enhance estrogen, but it can block estrogen, because all to do with the receptors of the estrogen pathways and the different types of estrogen there is. So I think it's like sort of breaking down where that research is coming from and what it's actually trying to say, because I would say if someone has estrogen dominance, that actually milk thistle would be very supportive for their estrogen because it actually will help to detoxify and break down the estrogen that's floating around, that's not being able to be detoxified out of the body through the liver pathway, which is one of the main 3 pathways of estrogen detoxification. So I would actually think, actually milk thistle is supportive for people with some high estrogen disorders, depending on what it is. If that makes sense.
It can, thank you. It can get quite complex.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
it's
I guess what I'm taking away from you is go for what's the main action of the herb, and if there's any contraindication with any specific conditions they're having, and take it from there rather than going into rabbit holes of because it can get quite complex, and then you just get lost in what is the best mixture here.
Exactly. It's the same as ashwagandha. Is it supportive for hypothyroidism, or is it not? Like, if they're on the thyroid medication, should they be given ashwagandha? Because there's a lot of conflicting information. So it's really, you have to know the condition first and really understand the person's condition and their constitution. Because if you have like a high pitta constitution with the estrogen levels, which is also endocrine system, like the milk thistle could be very supportive, very well for them. Yeah. But yeah, great questions. And I love the way that you're thinking about it and like you're being very proactive about understanding, you know, all the properties of the herb, which is so important if you're going to start
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Thank you.
recommending. No worries. All right. Does anyone else have any other questions? No.
I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
and maybe I've missed it because I wasn't here last week, and you know that also the different qualities of the herb. Say, for example, ginger. You know,
Yeah.
when it's a powder, it's different to when it's fresh. Do you touch on that as well, or?
Did we get last week we did all of the Ayurvedic herbs, so we did cover ginger, but generally just think of the gunas, the qualities of the herb. So if it's a powder, it's going to be more drying.
Yeah.
So more drying and hitting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, there's some philosophies that have really, really strict and rigid views on that. Like, so it's another really great question against like the fresh, because you can have fresh turmeric, you can have powdered turmeric,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And it can act slightly different in the body. But in general, it is mostly like not going to be too extreme having one versus the other. But there are situations where you would prefer one versus the other because the powder is going to be quite drying to the body as well. So fresh ginger is always better for vata, for instance, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I notice it with, I don't really use ginger powder except for gingerbread, you know,
Oh
because I
yeah,
find it quite warming, too
yeah.
warm. But I'm not sure, I'm not sure what the difference would be with other herbs. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you're going to mix the ginger, say, with honey, again, it's going to slightly change the quality of the herb. So it's always sort of dependent on how are we using that herb as well, or that spice. Are we grating the ginger and putting it in a meal? It's going to be a lot different to if we're just like taking a slice of it or just having powdered ginger in hot
yeah,
water.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Good questions, guys. Love it. Love it. All right, so next time we are going to go into the disorders and how to use the herbs. How does that sound? It's a big topic, isn't it? And this is just the surface. We're just touching on it all. But hopefully you've learned something today. Why don't everyone just put in the chat one thing that they remember about one herb today? One thing, or yell it out. Let us know. What have you retained from today's session? I know it's quite dry. It's like that sort of rote learning type of thing, but it's
The herbs are just amazing.
yeah, they are amazing.
They're just amazing. It's like the never-ending fountain of knowledge. They just seem to go on and on and on.
I know, right? Because they have so many different properties and so many different ways you can use them as well.
And so many ways you can blend them and use them, and yeah, they're just amazing.
Yeah, love it.
One thing was like cranberry. Is that also, for kidney, bladder health?
Yeah.
Is that like what kind? Like, that how you can get the dried, or is it also powder and in
Yeah.
tinctures,
Yeah.
or how do you take it?
It's the properties in the cranberry. So cranberry juice actually can work, like fresh cranberry juice, like not added sugar and stuff, is very good because it helps with it helps flush the bladder as well. And that's what it's targeting. But you can take it in powder form, but I actually just prefer it from the actual fruit, the juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a chat, Shilajit for strength and to increase testosterone. Yes, Emma, love that. You'll remember that now. Remember cranberry for UTIs and bladder health. Anyone else want to throw a herb out there, what they can help everyone remember? Susie?
Love rose, because I think that it's quite an interesting plant. If you think of the damage that the thorns can do, and the thorns also have, it's like the rose plant has its own medicine. So if you get stuck by the thorn, and you can even get really irritated by the thorn. And I once did a healing on a woman who did have rose thorn, like big inflamed things on her. And I just held it, and we brought in the medicine of the rose energetically, and it it
Wow.
went away. Like, so I love rose. It's such a,
Mhm.
but the teaching is in the plant. Like the teaching is actually in the plant. And rose is particularly beautiful because it's got the sharpness, it's got the protection, it's got all of that stuff in it. And then
Yeah.
it's got the how do we heal that? Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. And
Beautiful. Yeah.
holds the energetics of the heart space as well, which,
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Which can open us to the parts of life that are sharp and prickly.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we might turn away from them. But if we can open to them with our heart, there's so much to learn from what we might call sharp, prickly, protection, stay away. So I like
So
that.
true. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I hope I see that in a post this week because that was lovely. Awesome. And oh, you're drinking rose tea right now, Emma. Lovely. And you've also said Vitex for ovulation and irregular periods. Beautiful. Yay, we've all learned something. Love that. Is there anything you want to add, Sylvia or Mel?
I like the chase tree for there's so many people having irregular periods,
Yeah.
and it's a nice thing to recommend.
Yeah.
So I
Beautiful.
definitely remember that. So low progesterone as well for perimenopause.
Yeah, yeah, because it boosts the power of their ovulation, and so that's where our progesterone mostly comes from, is from from ovulating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Cool.
And
awesome.
where do you get all your herbs from?
Because I'm practitioner, I've got access to Vitally, which is a site where you can prescribe different herbs and supplements and stuff on there, like a practitioner site. So I generally use Vitally because my clients are, well, they're worldwide. So the ones that are in America, I will just put them onto the Banyan Botanical website, tell them to get it from there. So that's all
I
just pure Ayurvedic herbs. But here in Australia, usually Vitally, because I don't always see local people. So I did have a whole lot of MediHerb herbs that I would mix, but because so my clients aren't all just local, I
Yeah.
found that it was easier for me to do online with prescriptions. But Satvik Health Store is an online store, and they stock a lot of Ayurvedic herbs and spices. Um, there's more and more coming out with all like the Ayurvedic powders and stuff. If you're interested in like mixing herbs, Ayurveda usually uses the powder form. So you can buy like ashwagandha powder, shatavari powder, and you can literally use, like, if you're making a mix, maybe you'd be getting like a tablespoon or a teaspoon of each. But for this level, and like making a mix for the client for this level, I would sort of be looking at pre-made formulas and the supplement forms that you can get through Banyan Botanicals and stuff, which you can get off the Satvik Health Store in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, great. All right, ladies, I will see you all next week. Is it? No. What's next week? Or is that Mel? Is that you? I think that might be Mel's class. I won't see you next. I'll see you the week after. Well, next time we have one of these classes, it'll be herbs again. Awesome. All right.